It's 2010 and Adidas are just about to revolutionize the football boot game with brand new materials and brand new processes for constructing outsoles. Prior to this, you were maybe looking at heavier plastics, or Nike at the time were using carbon fiber. Companies all the time were looking to give you that stiffness and rigidity that you want through the sole plate, while also allowing it to be flexible in the right places, light enough and durable enough. This is a balancing act that even to this day is very difficult to get right, and companies don't always get it right. Prior to 2010, however, this was far more difficult, and the expense of those Nike boots with the carbon fiber outsoles did show this. But Adidas come along, brand new materials, brand new processes, and say, hey, look, we can provide you with a durable, lightweight, rigid and flexible outsole at half the price that Nike are already doing it. What this means for me and you is, of course, we got that revolution back then, but more importantly today in 2021, what it means is that you can go out and pick up an older football boot, maybe something back from 2011, 2012, and have something that is going to still perform at a very high level with a very small risk of having any extra durability issues. Before that, what was going to happen if you put on a pair of Predator Manias from 2002? Are these still going to perform because they don't have that brand new technology? That revolution isn't in these boots that Adidas introduced in 2010. What's up guys, I'm James and welcome to Boot Wizard Boot Reviews. This is one that should be interesting to any of you guys that are out picking up old style boots to play in, and hopefully to you guys that are selling them. I know this has been a problem for a couple of sellers, and I'm hoping that this actually helps you out in giving information out to your customers. And speaking of sellers, we're going to be using CM Boots Predator Manias as signed by David Beckham as the example for this particular video, because why would I not break out a pair of Predator Manias in this champagne colorway signed by David Beckham on as many occasions as possible before I have to send them back to him. So this one's for the sellers, this one's for you guys looking to buy retro boots, this one's for CM Boots, go and give him a follow, and let's jump into it. Can you wear boots from before 2010 with those older style materials comfortably in 2021 without any major problems? Let's find out. Also, like the video, get subscribed, go to patreon.com/bootwizard if you can support the channel. Moving on. So you have a pair of old boots. They don't have to be a pair of boots that you've bought recently from a reseller. It could be an old pair you've used, an old pair you haven't used. It doesn't really matter so much. Over time, with boots just being stored, the materials will degrade. DL Boot Room, Derek, again, check out his Instagram, has a light and temperature controlled room for his collection, because that's how fragile some of the even visuals can be on these boots. If you look at the old GS lines, the heel counter on that, it just fades. There's not really a huge amount you can do about it. But materials degrade over time, whether you're using the boots or you're not. And this especially applies to these boots that are pre-2010, pre this sole plate revolution. So it is the sole plate that I'm going to focus on. There is a big reason, aside from just the weight and the performance, it is the durability that companies are putting the new tooling onto the old style uppers. The uppers can pretty much hold their own. So if you take a look at my T90 here, this is the remake. The upper is basically identical, but it's on that hyper-reactive outsole because it needs to be in order to be durable, flexible, and lightweight. So what's gonna happen if you do take your 2002 Manias or any other boot of that ilk, any other older boot, out onto the pitch? Well, for starters, you might be absolutely fine. Maybe absolutely nothing happens and your boots are fine. That is a possibility. I can't guarantee it. But particularly if you're buying new, you don't know how these boots have been stored prior to you getting them. You could take all the care in the world, but maybe they've been stored somewhere that's particularly warm. And I'm not saying that it's the seller that stored them there. They have to have got these boots from somewhere. Who knows where that warehouse was, what the conditions it was stored in were like. These all affect the longevity of the boots, particularly the sole plate and the sole plate materials. And I have a prime example. So this here is a pair of the original launch colorway Adidas Predator Manias. These are mine. This is the pair I bought when I was 16, and they're probably my favorite boots that I've bought. I still have these for nostalgia reasons. They're the only boot that I still have in my collection from that time. I basically sold everything else and rebought it recently. You can see they're in a bit of a state. But you will also notice on these particular boots, aside from cracking and the studs being completely worn down, that they're a little bit muddy. Why are they a little bit muddy, James? Why aren't your fantastic Predator Manias super, super clean with their double wrapped over elastic where it's completely broken? Nearly swore. Well, it's because I took them out recently. One, to test this particular theory for this video, and two, because I just wanted to break out the old Manias, see how they felt. Just went to hit a few free kicks. Now these have been shipped here, there, everywhere. These have been all around the place. They've been stored in my parents' house. They've been stored in an attic. There's not a huge amount of care that's been taken in relation to these boots. So I went to just hit a free kick. These boots are fine. I can just use them. I'm just going to hit a free kick. I took about 4 steps and this happened. As you can see, I have a giant split down the forefoot of my boot here. Now, I didn't actually notice this to begin with. It felt a bit weird, but I didn't think anything major had happened, and that's actually made it worse overall. But these are now snapped. They're snapped in 2. I didn't do anything untoward to these boots. I simply went and ran in them, and they have completely snapped. Now, my point here, what I'm trying to say is, if you are out buying boots from this era, 2002, and as I say, for safety reasons, in terms of how long your boots might last, up to 2010, 11, 12, you want to be in that range at the very, very oldest. You have a strong chance that your boots are going to degrade faster, they're going to break, and you are going to be maybe disappointed with your purchase. And while maybe sellers should have warnings, if you go to classic football boots and you look to try a classic football shirt, and you look to buy a pair of boots from them that are particularly old, they all come with a disclaimer that says these boots are for collectors, they're not to be worn. And you might think that's nuts because you're somebody who wears all your boots like me, but there's collectors, and collecting is a genuine thing and needs to be respected. So people are going to go and buy these boots and just have them on a shelf, and that's completely fine. But if you're one of these people that really wants to go out and have that old Mania experience, your best bet is probably going to be a pair of remakes, because your chances of this happening are pretty high. So aside from the performance benefits of that brand new outsole on those remakes, you might not have your boots last that long. And as I say, maybe sellers, resellers particularly, should have some kind of disclaimer, particularly if they have a website. But if it breaks, it's not their fault. They haven't sold you a faulty boot. And you do have to take a small amount of responsibility yourself for being aware of what you are purchasing. You can't put all the blame on the sellers, but they should definitely give you some information regarding particularly the older boots. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to cover today, was the idea of what it's going to be like if you do look to buy those older ones, why that is, and let me know what you think. Like, put down in the comments, who is the burden on to provide the information? Are you looking to buy an older pair? Have I put you off buying an older pair? I'm sorry if I have. And of course, do remember to like the video, get subscribed to the channel. And if you do want to see more content earlier and get to control how the channel is run, head to patreon.com/bootwizard. It is much appreciated. That's all from me here today. Have a good one. Beckham says goodbye. Look at these. They're Beckham signed Predator Manias.